capital Kyiv shoot down 11 Russian cruise missiles amid sounding of air sirens in Kyiv. At least 11 dead and several rescued as ferry capsizes off the eastern coast of Indonesia's Sumatra Island. The ferry was carrying about 74 people to a small island near neighbouring Singapore when it was suspected to have hit a log. The International Monetary Fund urges European central banks to kill the beast of inflation by pursuing interest rate hikes. The IMF maintains bringing down inflation is more important than concerns over the collapse of the banking system. China's defense minister calls for India and China to take a long-term view and place the border issue in appropriate position in bilateral relations, saying that the border situation between the two nations generally stable. The Boston Celtics took their place in the Eastern Conference semi-finals. Boston complete a 4-2 series over the Atlanta Hawks with a 128-120 point triumph. First to our top story here on WION this Friday. The UK government has succeeded on blocking an upcoming strike by nurses. Well, this comes after the UK Health Department took legal action against the trade union. The Royal College of Nurses called for a 48-hour strike from April the 30th. And for the first time, the strike is expected to involve staff from emergency departments, intensive care units and cancer care. But according to the UK's Health Department, the industrial action on the 2nd of May is unlawful. The department says a vote to strike is only valid for 6 months after a ballot of trade union members. And looking at the fact that the RCN ballot closed on the 2nd of November last year, the mandate for industrial action will end at midnight on the 1st of May. Well, the Health Secretary Steve Barclay welcomed the ruling, while adding that the government has taken the RCN to court with regret. Well, the RCN General Secretary Pat Cullen, described the legal action as the darkest day of this dispute so far. Earlier, nurses said they are prepared to strike until Christmas as they rejected a new pay deal. Well, that includes a 5% pay increase this year and a one-off payment for last year. Meanwhile, thousands of railway workers in Britain will go on strike, and that's on May 13th, after National Union of Rail, Maritime and Transport Workers rejected the latest pay offered by train companies. Well, for more about the current situation with the nurses, we've got Alex Isaac, our London correspondent, joining us now. It's difficult to know how to frame this because on the one side you could say that it's a win for the government, but it certainly feels like in this situation there are no winners, Alex.
You know, you're absolutely right there, Katie. It does feel that way. And considering that strikes are happening today, we have civil service that are on strike, over 130,000. We've got teachers going on strike again on Tuesday. And of course, the nurses are saying now that they are going to ballot to enforce another mandate where they can strike for another 6 months. And that's the RCN. Now, there doesn't seem to be that much leeway from the government, who has been steadfast passed all the way through with regards to pay increases. They keep repeating that the pay that they're offering is all they can offer because of the high inflation, which is what we keep hearing. But when it comes to with regards to the railway workers, now the RMT have said that the offer of pay deal wasn't the actual reason behind the strike action. It was all of the extras that came with it. They wanted to have it to have the pay with no extra concerns, with 0-hour contracts, with automated door systems. They want to be able to have that pay rise and still continuing the work that they're doing. Now, the general public does seem to be behind still the nurses and most of the staff workers within the NHS as well, although there does seem to be a little bit a disregard for the rail workers and some of the others that are going on strike, as they are quite disrupting, especially when we hear that the rail workers will go on to strike during the football and, of course, the Euro World Cup, which is a big deal for many within the UK. But going forward with the nurses, conversations between the RCN and the government do seem to be ongoing. The RCN were behind trying to push for their own members to take that original deal. Now, Unison have accepted the deal, and they're still waiting to hear if that's going to go through for their NHS workers. But at the moment, it does seem that there are going to be even more strikes ahead. As I said, we're striking today, civil service is striking today, and we have teachers striking on Tuesday. And it's likely that we're going to see even more strikes as we go forward, and potentially all the way to Christmas.
Oh, what a depressing thought. Thank you so much, Alex. As you mentioned there, the teachers next week. That's our chief London correspondent there, Alex Isaac. Thank you. Well, we're going to move on and talk about the royal family now, because as the UK gears up for King Charles's coronation, new reports and opinion polls push the monarchy closer to scrutiny. Well, in the latest, a poll shows only 3 in 10 Britons think the monarchy is very important. Well, this is the lowest proportion on record. Well, according to a survey by the National Centre for Social Research, the public support for the monarchy has fallen to a historic low. Around 45% of respondents saying the monarchy is not very important, with some saying it should be abolished altogether. Well, since the organisation began collecting this data, and that was in 1983, the latest findings show a long-term trend of declining support for the monarchy. Well, the year of the late Queen witnessed her platinum jubilee. 35% of respondents then gave similar answers. Earlier, a poll suggested nearly 40% of young people in the UK want the monarchy to be replaced by an elected head of state. Well, now, with the coronation slated to take place on the 6th of May, the overall outcome of the poll has captured a shifting interest of the younger generation. Well, for more, we're going to talk about this in detail now. We are joined by Ian Felton-Turner, a royal commentator joining us from the capital. Ian, good to see you.
Good morning, Katie. Sorry, my voice is a little bit rusty this morning. I was at a royal photography auction last night, and it went down extremely well.
Oh, it did? OK, so you're getting the impression that the monarchy are popular after all?
It's a load of nonsense. If you look at the viewing figures, let me give you an example. Every summer when the Queen was still in reign and people came to Buckingham Palace, 800,000 people came in a 12-week period. It raised £12 million for charities as well. So does that tell you for 1 second that nobody's interested in the monarchy? It's nonsense.
OK, Ian, we do have a situation here in the UK at the moment where we have a cost of living crisis. People are struggling on a daily basis to pay their bills, to make ends meet. Do you think that's part of the problem when you hear about how much the coronation is going to cost? You know, we hear this £100 million, much of that on security, of course. But do you think that that's maybe part of the reason here?
I think the reality at the moment is when you look at 100 million, and it's a lot of money, I quite agree, and then you look at probably 20, 30, 40 billion a year that the royal family brings in through tourism in this country, then it's a drop in the ocean, and that's the way to look at it. Now, the coronation will probably be, I hope, to revitalise Britain. At the moment, you're quite right, Great Britain is on its knees. And I don't agree with everything that the royal family is doing. The one thing I keep on saying on broadcast is that we pay for the royal family. And it's about time they came back together again in a really forceful way to promote Britain across the world. And I think the values of Great Britain and the values of the royal family come together, and then we can become the world beater great country that we are.
Well, that certainly sounds good. What do you think of the Harry and Meghan situation? Because that hasn't really helped the popularity of the monarchy. Or do you think maybe it's not made any difference?
I think I have tremendous sympathy for Meghan. I worked a lot with Diana. I go back 5 generations of the royal family. I worked with them as a royal photographer, commissioned royal photographer, and then as a broadcaster as well. So when I look at Meghan for me is the epitome of Diana. She does all the same things that Diana used to do as well, with heart and conviction. And I think I don't agree with everything that Harry and Meghan are doing. I think they've been very badly advised, I think, at times. But in reality, I don't see how a modern monarchy will not allow the Harry and Meghans of this world to actually exist, thrive, and create probably opportunities for Britain in America as well.
Yeah, quite right. And I think we all remember how excited we were on the day that they got married. I think it was May 2018, I think it was. And we were all so excited. It was a brilliant day, so it's such a shame. But hopefully we can get back that momentum with them. Ian, thank you so much. We really appreciate your thoughts here on WION Today.
Not a problem.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is on a 2-day visit to the UK. While meeting her UK counterpart, Rishi Sunak, she praised the UK's immigration bill. The two most important right-wing leaders in Europe met at Downing Street. While Meloni said meeting with Sunak represents a new beginning in relations between Italy and the UK. The two sides, they aim to form a deep alliance on strong defence, Ukraine policy and illegal migration and, of course, trade as well. Well, like her counterpart in the UK, Meloni's government has also pledged to curb mass immigration, which mainly targets migrants from North Africa. According to Italian government data, more than 35,000 people have arrived in Italy so far in 2023. Meloni has also urged the EU to recognise the need for a single European policy on refugees. Meanwhile, apart from Poland, Italy gives an opportunity to influence the direction of the European Union post-Brexit. However, Meloni's visit witnessed a group of demonstrators protesting against racism. Some of their placards read, "No to fascist Meloni." Well, the controversial illegal migration bill in the UK has made it through the lower house of Parliament. It's still got to go to the House of Lords. The clearance is seen as a big win for the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. The illegal migration bill will prevent anyone from claiming asylum, and asylum seekers will be deported either back to their homeland or to third countries like Rwanda. While critics and some charities have claimed the proposals are impractical and could criminalise the efforts of thousands of genuine refugees. The UN Security Council now has unanimously condemned the Taliban administration. Well, this is because of their ban on Afghan women working for the UN, and has asked the Taliban to swiftly reverse it. Well, the resolution was drafted by the UAE and Japan. It was unanimously passed. The UNSC highlighted how the ban undermines human rights and highlighted how the role of women in Afghan society is indispensable, describing how the Taliban is essentially trying to erase Afghan women from society. Girls have been barred from schools beyond the 6th grade, and women are banned from most jobs and public spaces and even gyms. In late December, the Taliban banned aid groups from employing Afghan women, and in April they extended the ban to Afghan women working for the UN. A decision in the draft resolution calls the unprecedented in the history of the United Nations. Well, the UAE ambassador for the UN said that 90 countries have co-sponsored the resolution, including Afghanistan's neighbours and countries from all corners of the world. Well, this vote comes before a scheduled meeting in Doha at the beginning of May, where the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres is set to convene with various special envoys about the situation in Afghanistan. Television personality Jerry Springer, known for a long-running talk show, which I used to love, he has sadly passed away. More in our next report.
Jerry Springer, the popular TV host known for his raucous shows, has died at the age of 79. Springer's family said in a statement on Thursday that he died peacefully at his home in suburban Chicago after a brief illness. Springer was born in London in 1944 and moved to New York City when he was 4 years old. He became a news anchor after a short stint as mayor of Cincinnati, Ohio, and in 1991 landed his own program across national TV, The Jerry Springer Show.
Our show is about outrageousness. Anything that's normal, we send to another show.
The Jerry Springer Show initially focused on politics. It later featured everyday people discussing sensationalistic topics, often related to unconventional sexuality. On his Twitter page, Springer described himself as the ringmaster of civilization's end. A former intern described Springer more as
the self-proclaimed king of trash TV.
Laura Grinstaff, who now teaches sociology at the University of California, has written a book about Springer.
So, people often wonder, well, why would anyone go on a show like that? I think at the point of the height of his popularity, people wanted to be part of the game. It was really almost more of a game than anything else. It was a cultural cliche, a cultural cartoon. A lot of people didn't like it. They thought it was uncivilized and inappropriate, pushing the boundaries in all the wrong directions. And I think it's all of the above, but it was very deliberately so.
The Westminster Dog Show is set to kick off next week in New York, and dog owners and lovers are in full swing of preparation for their pooches. Well, cute doggies from all over the 50 US states and 13 countries will be taking part in this year's show.
Back up.
Dock diving at Westminster is new this year, and we're really excited about it. So it's really a competition of distance, so how far a dog jumps off of a dock into a pool of water. And the dogs are enticed by a toy. So their owner throws a toy, the dogs go as far as they can. There are different height categories, of course.
She tells me when she thinks I'm wrong on the agility course. She's very, very loyal, very devoted. She loves cookies. She loves playing on the beach. And she loves, most of all, applause.
Walking stomach with fur.
I think dogs in general love any time they get to have that human interaction with us, any attention they get from us, right? They love, and if we can find a way to engage with them that's fun and enjoyable, that's what's most important.
Okay, let's get some sport now, because we've had some fantastic games this week in the English Premier League. Well, last night, manager-less Tottenham Hotspur